Welcome to Basic Bible Plus. We're glad that you've joined us. Here at Marian Methodist, like every church everywhere, we're in mid-COVID. And during mid-COVID, we're seeking to offer as many discipleship growing opportunities as we can at Marian Methodist. There are a number of classes and groups already meeting in person at the church, which you're invited to if that's where your comfort level is. And of course, we meet here on the internet for a 12 to 15 minute, with the pastor, it's probably more like 15-minute little mini lecture. And we're really walking through this fall through the book of Romans. Now, if you desire further discussion on this, you could join our hybrid class by checking out our website, marianmethodist.org. Now, as the weeks go by, the pace at which we are going to work through Romans is going to speed up quite a bit. But as we have in this third week, we really need to make sure we have clear understanding of the foundations of Romans, or the rest will just theologically smother us. It's a tough book. So I've spent a little bit more time on orientation than some of you might feel necessary, but I'm the teacher, so take a look. So previously, we learned how the New Testament came to be, and it looked at as the inspired Word of God. And once these books were decided to be the library, which is the Greek word for Bible, the Bible of the faith, they were set in a particular order, and that order has a specific function, and it's appropriate for us to look at that because they help the believer or seeker in their theological inquiry. So the Old Testament, the first 39 books of the Bible that you're either holding in your hands or is near you in your house, is the story of God and God's people, the Jews, and that goes from Genesis all the way through Malachi, and it lays the foundation for what we now know as Christianity. Now, the Old Testament repeatedly shows humanity's failing to fulfill what God desires of his people, their consistent falling short of the mark he hopes for them, and at the Testament end, and this is very important to understanding the Christian story, God silences his conversation with humanity, absolutely silences it. For 400 years, the Lord does not speak to his people. And then God incarnates himself in Jesus of Nazareth. The story is told by four primary witnesses, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and this is known as the gospel. The gospel defines how salvation is obtained by the Lord's incarnation. That is to say, Jesus dies resurrected. Jesus promises his return and then ascends to heaven. Following the four gospels is the Acts of the Apostles. The Acts of the Apostles follow the gospels because they really tell the story of the early believers and who believed in the salvation through Jesus Christ, and how they went everywhere to everyone, telling them of that good news. Now, this sixth book, and this is where we're camping out from now until early November, Romans, further explains salvation, the salvation that the disciples all knew. And it was particularly important for Paul to write to those that were already believing. That this is not necessarily an evangelistic document. Romans is not. It has some of that in that, but it's really about people that are believing or are intrigued by Jesus, and they want to understand Christ more fully. So that's why we study it here in Basic Moments. In Romans, Paul is teaching believers, and generally new believers. So if you're in Basic Bible, you may not be new to the faith, but new to digging in. So as I've said now many times, and that's probably getting annoying for many of you, the text and thoughtful messaging of Romans is thick. So I thought maybe we would begin today with a flow chart of where Paul is going and what the subject matter is that he's going to be handling in Romans. So visually, I'm going to walk you through something. If you're in the class or on Zoom, you have one of these sheets, so find it and just kind of fill it in as I go. So in that top box, write the word sin, because in chapters 1 through 3 of Romans, Paul deals with humanity and the fact that we're helplessly trapped in sin and we need a rescue. And the rescue is not going to happen by people trying to obey the laws or the codicils of God or the Torah. Rather, our rescue is going to come from God's righteous character. That's who's going to rescue the world through Jesus' life